Hi, we are at the end of August. It is August 28th, and I would just like to give a little update on everything. First and foremost, I would like to say something, particularly this is directed at the Toronto Regional Police Force. Um, Okay, a lot of you know about me being assaulted by Dallas Winston. There's proof. I filed a report. The report goes to, I guess it goes, the way it works is the constable said that it goes up to a detective in the particular division. And so I would also like to state that this is not bashing anybody in particular, and this is not I don't want it to be considered bashing the Toronto Regional Police Force, because they put their lives on the line as all first responders do every single week. Every single day, every single hour, they have to deal with certain things that come up, obviously, first responders and everything. That's their calling. They look upon that as a duty, and I look upon that as a calling. I look upon paramedics, first responders, police force, any police force, and doctors, everything that to me, nurses, um, any type of medical profession. I look upon that, teachers, as a calling. So I do look upon the police force as individuals who have been called to be law enforcement people, men and women. However, I do feel personally that the Toronto Regional Police Force has let me down once again. They did take after I contacted them, and they did take the report about Dallas Winston assaulting me with a weapon on Lakeshore Boulevard West. I had 7 witnesses, and so the constables who were very nice, who came to my apartment, and they took pictures, and they got my blood work from my chart. They got my blood work, they got the x-ray results, so they got all that as part of the documentation, as well as pictures of my leg at the time. And right now it's healed a lot. I did see my doctor, and I wanted to go to an ortho guy because it's still there's a bump that's still outside of my leg, and that's protecting the veins. So I have to go see somebody who is a vascular specialist or something, which most of all because of the fact that I am a 56-year-old woman, and as my doctor stated, I'm not a 25-year-old male who's an athlete. I'm a 56-year-old woman who is a former athlete, in the sense that I played soccer, I played baseball, I was a figure skater when up until I was about 14 years old, and played soccer until I was in my mid-20s, and no, maybe 30s. And then I was a rower. I rowed for an intramural, like a recreational league. I rowed eights. And so in that sense, that's probably one of the reasons why I've healed. That's what the world would say so quickly in my legs after everything that's happened. One of the reasons, and the only reason why I've healed so quickly in my legs, is because of the fact that our Heavenly Father has healed me, and uses medical science and everything like that, medical science. So I do want to say that there are certain aspects of my life in terms of where I've wanted to go out, and that I've had to go and do things, or where I've wanted to go to, and that has been put on hold, or I have been told to stay at home because of certain people who are around the area. I'm going to name them. There are warrants out for their arrest. The lawyers have gotten them off. They arrest them, and then lawyers come in and then use their documentation that they have that have gotten them out of the actual jail cell. For me, my mindset is this: you do a crime, you get arrested, you go to jail. But the way the world works, and the way that the criminal system works here, I guess it's Ontario or Canada. I do know the parts of the criminal code when I Google it, like other people do, and I am fully aware of how the law works, in the sense that someone gets arrested, they call a lawyer, the lawyer comes in with documentation, and they get them off. Now, John Arnott has a really high-priced lawyer, and so does Sandra Long. And that really high-priced lawyer will come in, and when someone like Jonas Rogato gets arrested for stalking me or doing whatever he does, which is a lot of crimes. Jonas Rogato is a known arsonist, along with Zachary Lanoux, along with Murray Smith, and along with Dallas Winston. So John Arnott's high-priced lawyer comes in and gets them out of jail, right? So they get out of jail free cards. At some point, the law has to state, and I do believe this, I have heard this from a police officer, is that then they start charging the lawyers. So if someone like Sandra Long, who has gotten out of jail free from her lawyer, continues to steal, like she was going for the, steal from Daily Bread Food Bank and sell it to other places down in Hamilton, Mississauga, and Niagara. So, and Sandra Long does this, and her lawyer gets her out, and then the lawyer gets charged, and Sandra Long is kind of like out on the streets, and because it's not considered there's two kinds of crimes. There's a white-collar crime and a blue-collar crime. Personally, to me, they're all crimes. But and there's felonies, and there's crimes over $10,000, and there's crimes, they go through it in the Criminal Code of Canada. But what is happening now is people like Dallas Winston, Murray Smith, Jonas Rogato, Sandra Long, Duncan Smith, Kate Daniel Smith, Aaron Nibber, Jessica Nibber, Kelly Rife, Justin Wright. First of all, these people are coming into Canada on falsified visas and passports. Duncan Smith, Kate Daniel Smith, Jessica Nibber, Aaron Nibber, Kelly Rife, and Justin Five. They're all from Castor Valley, right? So they're coming in on falsified passports and falsified visas. That's how they're staying in the country to do their crimes. So, and then Jonas Rogato, Melanie Rogato, Dallas Winston, Murray Smith, Ash Bouvier-Smith, let's leave her out of here for a minute, Zachary Lanoux, are committing their crimes, and they're getting out of jail free cards along with Norman Brown because of John Arnott's high-priced lawyer. So we have my assailant, Dallas Winston, who has been seen around this area, and this is actually also a warning that, as well as Jonas Rogato, has been seen around this area and down by Lakeshore Boulevard West of Mimico, Lakeshore Boulevard West, and hanging out in the McDonald's over by First. Royal York and Albany is where Norman Brown likes to hang out, and besides the fact he's a pedophile, right? So there's St. Leo's School there, there's the other the school there, and then there's John English over up at Mimico. So we have that, right? So he's around, and there's children and a pedophile. He's a convicted pedophile and a convicted drug dealer who is out on the streets, and drug dealers and a pedophile is not to be within, I would say, about 10 feet of any kind of children. I don't mean so we do have them. They have been actually charged with these crimes. Murray Smith, Dallas Winston, Jonas Rogato, and Zachary Lanoux have all been charged with arson. They have been charged with pedophilia. They have been charged with pornography. They have been charged with procuring pornography and procuring that as well. So, but because of the fact that I'm not allowed out, I don't go out because now I've become a target. Dallas Winston's assault on me was with a weapon, and so he still is around, and I could not go out and do the volunteer at the Assembly Hall or the Dance Jam that was there last week. I missed a job interview, and so now they're because they know I'm going to volunteer for Princess Margaret. There's twofold here. It angers me. I don't like to use the word anger. It upsets me, as well. I could say it downright pisses me off, because when I am in a communication because what happens is that people call the police on me and say that I am living, I'm fraudulent, I'm a mental patient, I'm a drug addict, I'm a drug dealer, and the list goes on and on and on. I've had police officers stand at my door, at my window looking in because someone had called the police on them and wanted them to come in and speak to me. So we have my assailant. This is where I'm at right now, okay? And I'm glad this is kind of like a venting situation here. We have my assailant who's down at Lakeshore Boulevard West and Mimico, or Lakeshore Boulevard West and First, and Jonas Regato and all of them. Meanwhile, 22nd Division and the Toronto Regional Police, and this is in the bash, like a 22nd Division. I look at each and every officer individually. They're people just as we are, and as well as the fact that I don't know the police officers individually. I don't know exactly who it was. I know that somebody called them and that somebody had 4 police officers look through the window for an hour watching me make pancakes. And they left. I wasn't charged with anything. Nobody came in. I didn't have a crisis worker come in. There's no reason to. I'm living my life, making pancakes. They stood there and watched me make pancakes. And then I guess the decision came to the fact as well, she's not doing anything wrong. She's not bothering anybody. She's not threatening anybody. She's not doing anything illegal. I'm making pancakes. And my pancakes, flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, eggs, melted butter or margarine, and did I say milk or water? That's in my pancakes. And sometimes I put cinnamon, or bananas, or blueberries. I have no idea why they stood there. I did, however, I didn't say a word to them. And whenever I see an officer, because I recognize the fact that it is a really, really hard job, and I recognize the fact that it is a calling, and I recognize the fact that they get frustrated and they get angry. Certain officers, they get frustrated and they get angry with the fact, with all of the protocols and politics and garbage of the fact that we have drug dealers, we have assailants, we have people who are arsonists, we have people who are known pedophiles, we have them, and it's not just Murray, and it's not just Zachary and Dallas and Johnson, and Norman Brown. It's collectively criminals in general. And this is an election, a mayoral election going on as well. If there is something wrong in the justice system, that is where we have to sort of take a stand, have a voice, and say, wait a second, this can't continue to happen. This is something where this can't continue to happen, period. However, I am a voice, a strong voice, in the sense that I'm also someone who speaks to. I sent in some questions for the mayoral debate. But they're mostly on food insecurity and housing insecurity. I've spoken at City Hall for housing insecurity but the fact that this, I guess it's also a warning. It's a warning that they're in the area. It's a warning to children, to young people, that they are in the area, to various communities, because Jonas Regato is known to procure and to I would want to say kidnap, but lure, that's the other word, lure the young Nigerian women and young Nigerian girls, and they're still young women and children. And I want an end to that. That's what I fought for in terms of the Bayesian Black Revolution movement, but I want it to end. It is frustrating when you see the fact that they are continuing to look at me and say, well, look at her, like, what is she doing? Sandra Long's whole goal, and she's been said I actually saw her say this to an individual, a former staff member, at the Daily Bread Food Bank in the parking lot. Get her out of Etobicoke and out of Daily Bread at all costs. That is it's been Sandra Long's quest. It's been the quest of others. Get her out of, and people have been paid a lot of money to try and get me out of Etobicoke South at all costs. And people have tried to ruin my life, and in that sense, that they wanted me out. They don't want me to have friends. They don't want me to have a community, and they don't want me to have any of that. So, which they're failing miserably, I might add, because my prayer every single day is that justice will prevail, is that they will reap what they've sown, and that the City of Toronto, the Toronto Regional Police in particular, and will actually reveal that the truth will continue to be revealed. And if they have to continue to follow me, I'm talking about the Toronto Regional Police Force, if they have to continue to follow me and get calls about me and investigate me and have me under surveillance and have a police officer watch me make pancakes in order to prove that I am right, in order to prove the truth, then I'm challenging the Toronto Regional Police Force to follow Murray Smith, to follow Dallas Winston, to follow Jonas Regato, to follow Zachary Lanoux, to follow Norman Brown, to follow Sandra Long, to follow Kate Daniel Smith the moment she lands, to follow Duncan Smith the moment he lands, to follow Jessica Nibber the moment she lands, to follow Aaron Nibber the moment he lands, to follow Justin Rife the moment he lands, to follow Kelly Rife the moment they land, to follow John Arnott, to follow Ash Smith. I am challenging that the moment they leave 268 Atwell or 55 Reading Court or 272 Atwell, wherever that little place is, Courtyard Marriott Hotel, the moment they leave, I am challenging them, Toronto 23rd Division, 22nd Division, and whatever division, I don't know, to follow them. They don't have the manpower to do that. But I put a challenge out to 22nd Division. So since you're following me around, and I thank you for your protection, because when you follow me, essentially what you're doing is you're protecting me. And I thank you so much for that. But I put a challenge out, and I want to hope that you're recognizing that I am a little bit upset. But I recognize the fact, since you're following me, and thank you, and protecting me, and thank you so very much, that maybe you can follow Dallas Winston and Jonas Regato and Dan Van Hee and Anthony Ramato and Ed Verhaven and all of those who are following me. Because when you do, then the truth will be revealed. So that is actually my warning, because they are still in the area, and that's just actually a little bit. I was going to do a little prepare an actual prayer and everything for back to school, for all the kids going back to school this year, next week or the week after. The week after. It's September 7th. It's hard to believe it's the end of summer. I had a lot better summer than I did last year. I've lived in my building for a year, and as of September 1st, it'll be a year and a month, and yay! I'll be painting. Our Heavenly Father has abundantly blessed me with his building, abundantly blessed me with great neighbors, abundantly blessed me in this neighborhood. It's a wonderful neighborhood. I love it, and I would not trade going back to Mississauga or going back to St. Catharines or Hamilton or wherever they think they're going to send me for the world. So thank you so very much for listening to my vent, and let's hope that a police officer doesn't come to my door. Because I saw that on I think it was Instagram, because some guy had bashed on Instagram, he had bashed, I think it was Doug Ford, and it's against the law. It is against the law to do, I don't know if it's social media, but it is against the law to defame a public authority, someone who holds a public office, so a politician in a public office. So this guy went on Instagram. I don't know who you are. He went on Instagram and he bashed Doug Ford all over the place, and the police showed up at his door. I don't know if they arrested him, but they showed up at his door. Shows the police showed up at the door, and he had said he was in his rights to say anything, but I guess when it comes to politicians, the law is always different. Thank you.